While your kids are home and they're not at school, it's easy for them to fall into their tablets and their computers, adding up to too much screen time. So we're talking today with Chris McKenna of Protect Young Eyes about how parents can take back control. So Chris, this is something that's close to my heart. This is happening at my house right now. What's your best piece of advice for taking back control of that screen time?
Yeah, I'm in the middle of this too, like a lot of parents right now, Emily, and I think my very first thing isn't really a piece of advice. It's just I want to give parents a little permission here. I think we are in the midst of a lot of chaos right now, and I just think a lot of moms and dads and just parents in general just need to hear that if the screen time rules look a little bit different right now, that's okay. I don't think anybody needs any more guilt right now, and so I just want to start with that to give that permission. I do believe there are some very specific practical things that we can do to create some guardrails that are very important when there's more at-home time, more screen time. But I want to start off with just saying that it's okay. If the rule used to be, a certain number of time and now it feels like it's a little bit more, that's okay. I've seen some funny memes where parents are saying, that advice from the American Academy of Pediatrics, I'm kind of throwing it out the window for a little while. And that's okay. Now, that being said, yes, there are some very practical things that I would like parents to do. I think the first and foremost is Chromebooks are a device that are likely being used a lot more right now, given that school is maybe offering some enrichment programs or just on them in general. And so there are some free things that parents can do to make sure that the Chromebook experience is safer. Family Link is a free service that Google offers that can be used in order to lock down certain aspects of the Chromebook. So from a very practical device perspective, let's just make sure that the Chromebook is being used in a way that parents are able to exert the amount of control they want over it, and Family Link can offer that. So that's just one real practical piece of advice.
So sure, because a lot of times kids are going to say, Mom, Dad, I'm doing my homework. Homework is over and they may be on to something else. So that's good advice there. Tell me about the toxic trio. You talked about this in your blog, and this is very interesting for adults too.
Yeah, I think whether you're 14 or 40, that there are certain things, certain environments that can just lead to online behaviors that are not great. And so, yeah, we talk about the toxic trio. It's boredom, bedrooms, and darkness. And we've done surveying of students both at the middle and high school level. And when you look at teens anonymously who are honest about their online behavior, those are ingredients that most often lead to inappropriate online behaviors. I mean, let's be honest. Whether you're a teenager or an adult, how much good, life-bringing, productive online activity happens after 9:30 p.m., right? And I just think that that's good advice for them. It's good advice for us. If we're saying to, our teens, hey, you shouldn't have a device in the bedroom after a certain time, guess what? Moms and dads, that's good advice for you too. So bedrooms are a spot where just in general, I know that these are unusual times. We usually say to parents, keep internet-ready devices out of the bedroom. Right now, again, in that spirit of grace and it's okay, maybe instead it's control the time frame, make sure the door is open. My daughter knows that if she has to have a device in her bedroom because the brothers are driving her crazy, the screen has to be facing the room, outside of the room so I can see what's going on it. So yeah, those three, boredom, bedrooms, and darkness, just be careful and make sure that you're more vigilant if those three things are present.
And briefly, Chris, speaking of the door open, we want to talk to our kids about screen time and why it may be bad for them. How do you start that conversation?
Well, I think we start it even differently than what the question that you just asked there, Emily, right? I think that the screen time, we often see it as just this binary, that it's either all good or it's all bad. And in the spirit of encouraging parents, especially when we're all spending more and more time together right now, let's look at screen time in terms of there are different types of screen time, right? There's screen time that's kind of like junk food, that a little bit of it is good, but not a ton of it. There's also screen time that's educational, and maybe we allow a little bit more of that. Let's just have an open and honest conversation with our kids to say, you know what, being on our devices all day long isn't just not awesome for you, it's also not awesome for me as an adult. And if we always start our screen time conversations with this sort of attitude as parents that it's bad for them and it's their problem, I think we miss the point, and I think we miss an opportunity to just have an open and honest conversation about what should our family's screen time rules should be. Because what's good for you, son or daughter, is probably also good for me. It goes back to that bedroom conversation. If it's not allowed in the bedroom, then I shouldn't have it in there either. And let's use that screen time conversation as a way to create family guidelines that are co-developed. Because in my experience, if kids are involved in the solution, they're more often bound to obey the solution. So I want to invite kids into that conversation as much as possible. Yes, as a parent, have your firm rules. We do that as parents. But wherever they can have ownership, have agency in what screen time looks like, especially during these highly unusual times, I just think you're going to have more success.
I think you're right, Chris. Chris McKenna with some really good advice as we navigate these very strange times. Chris, thank you.
You're welcome.